Hi guys, I'm back again with yet another video. It's really been a while. But anyways, we'll be just doing a market breakdown for the week ahead of all the currency pairs in one index on my top right, as usual. So we'll be going over them to see actually what is it that we can find, also what we can work with for the week ahead, like I have already said. So without any further waste of time, let's get to the first one, which is GBPNZD. All right. So we're going to start now on the daily time frame, right? Because we need to understand the structure of the market that identify the trend. So for example, you can see that over here we do have a bigger structure that looks like this, basically a triangle, but I'm not gonna really focus on this because the trend lines are there for us to help us understand the market psychology, right, in terms of the overall structure. So we can see that we're inside that bearish triangle, but is that much more important? Certainly not that much, right? But I have identified that high and this mid-trend previous high and also this low over there. So we will just be going over that price action so we can understand what's going on. But if you look at it from the past, you can see that the market has been moving in impulses and corrections. So impulse move, correction, and then we've got a bigger version of a correction over there. Also breakout retest, impulse move, correction, impulse move. Then we got that correction. So the market has been moving like this previously, right? And then we had the change of the trend here, and then currently looking at something like, if we're treating this as an impulse, then this is just a correction as well. So it just depends whether it's gonna go down from there or from that level, right? So that's what's going on here, even though it looks a little bit choppy, but you will see what's going on as I edge closer into it, right? So as you can see, we have that high over there. So that's the previous high. Then this is also a previous recent high, right? So this is what's going on here, right? We have also this three touch correction, but it's gonna be clear as we go into the lower time frames, all right? So yeah, impulse move correction. Okay, cool. So now let's go to the 4-hour time frame. Now, when you go to the lower time frames, the most important thing is to make everything for yourself clean and clear so that it can be simple for you to understand and also for you to identify how are you going to get involved in the markets. So now that we're here, in as much as this looks like a bearish channel, but for as long as you still play inside it, there is a possibility that the market might want to go back there for a third touch before it can actually go down. All right. But if we don't focus too much on that, we just treat this from this perspective, you would also see that at some point we still have a correction that looks a little bit much more clear and simple than that one, which such that it makes us understand what the market is most likely to do without dwelling too much on that, right? Because as you can see now, this is an impulse move. We got a correction over there, which we have broke out of. And if you can just put a minor level over there, you would see that at some point that looks like a retest of that gives that's warranting the market to actually go to the downside, which is this being the first target and also ultimately being the last one, right? So that's how I would treat what's going on here. And then if we get now a little bit more closer there and we just treat this fix the pricing and everything like that. So as you can see, impulse move correction, first or second, we didn't get a third touch over there, right? But the market at some point did reject. So impulse move correction. So what follows after the correction? Because after every impulse move, we get a correction. So if my analysis is right and correct, then here I will be looking at something like an impulse move, then a correction. So we might just go back there for a third touch before we can actually go to the downside. All right. So if it doesn't make sense, let me just do it a little bit more clear. So first touch, first, second, second. So looking at the possibility of a third touch there before we could actually go to the downside. So this is what I think will possibly happen on GBPNZD, the continuation of sales to the downside, right? So now let's move on to another pair, which is NZDCAD, right? So let's start on the daily time frames as well. Sorry about that. Sorry. All right. So daily time frame. Okay, cool. So this is what's going on here as well. So here we can see that we are coming out of a bearish structure, which is a bullish continuation flag. So that's obviously the top, which is for the 90% rule in overall, right? And then if we get closer there, you would also see that we are building a structure that's similar to this bigger one, all right? So this means that if the market is to continue to the upside, then we're looking at something like this, impulse move, correction. So we're looking at the next impulse to the upside, right? So that's just clear like that. So let's go to the 4-hour chart. So now that we're on the 4-hour chart and we understand what is it that could possibly happen over there. So this is what's going on here. So if I just erase this a little bit just to make everything simple and clean, we would treat this like this. All right. So impulse move correction. So we would like to see bullish continuations, right? Which is a breakout retest and the continuation to the upside, because after every impulse move, we get a correction. And also this is that type of pattern, right? So, but now what I see here, right? If we are to draw the trend lines like this, then what if the market is to go to the upside, then we would like to see a retest there, which is something like this, a retest there, and continuations of buys to the upside on NZDCAD, right? And also, if you look at the market from the past price of its past behavior, you would see that higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So it might just be wanting to come back, say maybe around these areas, to give us a higher low before it can actually go to the upside. All right. However, if it's not yet ready yet to go to the upside, what it could do, it could sell short term in this manner, which is if there's an impulse move, then that's a correction. And then NZDCAD is most likely to come back to the upside, to the downside like this, or in this sense, or up until there, for us to give us a double bottom before it can actually go to the upside, right? So either one of two scenarios has to play out like that here. But it looks bullish on the higher time frame, and also it looks bullish on the 4-hour time frame. It's just a matter of identifying levels at which we can get involved, right? Which is if it doesn't buy off there, it can also want to come here for that higher low that will warrant the buy to the upside, right? So I'm not necessarily going to go to the 1-hour time frame, because I think this is just a little bit more clear, nice and simple. So I'm just going to move on to AUDCAD. But there's a little bit of a trick here, in a sense that AUDCAD and NZDCAD are positively correlated. But you will see what I'm talking about on AUDCAD. But at some point, in as much as markets are correlated, but you also need to learn to treat them individually and also accept what the market is telling you at that particular moment in time, despite the correlation. I don't know if that makes sense. All right. So this is what's going on here. And then we also have a descending channel. All right. So ours now is to go inside so we can understand what's going on there. So there are two things that I saw here, right? So we have the top trend line, which is 1, 2, 3. So I'm not pretty sure if that's indeed a breakout. All right. Because to me, it does look like it may want to go down a little bit. before it could actually go to the upside, this is really something that's similar to NZDCAD, but this one looks a little bit more clear in terms of that higher low that the market needs to create somewhere here if it is indeed to go to the upside, because it can sell maybe all the way till there to find that double bottom before it can actually go to the upside. All right, okay, it can just come down for a third touch over here and then go to the upside. And then alternatively, what it could also do, it could just come here, break out, give us the retest, and then go to the upside. Or it can just break, retest, and go to the upside, right? So that's what I think will also play out on AUDCAD if AUDCAD and NZDCAD are to go to the upside. So we need to just put an eye on either one of two, that at some point the market needs to come down to create a higher low, because higher high, higher low, higher high, higher low, higher high. So it will be of no surprise if the market would just come here for a higher low before it could actually shoot to the upside. So that's also what's going on AUDCAD. So on AUDNZD, I'm also not going to dwell too much on what's going on, just to save time and not to make the video lengthy. So we can see that the market it had this ascending channel over here, and then it rejected off of that level before it could actually go to the downside. However, we need to take into consideration that we have a level here that the market that has been respected for a very long time by the market, right? But if the market is to sell, right, then it will not be a surprise in the sense that it has to come here for it to give us a 90% rule of that pattern, and then it can actually go to the upside, right? But then again, going back to lower lows and lower highs, high highs and high lows. So you can see that this was a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high. So at the lower low. So if the market is to sell, it has to create a higher low that will give strength for the sellers to go to the downside. But EURUSD is not only limited to that. And also, what does this mean? If NZDCAD gets bullish, for example, right, it wouldn't be a surprise if the markets end up being a sell, depending on the strength of the euro. Because if the dollar persists and if the New Zealand dollar does appreciate or get strength, and then we're most likely to see EURUSD becoming a sell to the downside. But before we can actually get the sell, what could also happen here is a possibility of a buy, right? How is it going to happen? Because impulse move, correction. So if it's not ready to sell there yet, it may just want to create a double bottom here and then go there for a double top before it can actually go to the downside. And then as you can see, this what could be the double top that could play out here. But if we end up breaking below, if we end up breaking below, if the market could end up sorry about that. Let me just quickly go to the 1 hour time frame. So yeah, this is what's going on. As you can see, the importance of this level, guys. Right, so the market could go to the upside to test the resistance or that level, that high, for one last time before it can actually sell off. However, it doesn't mean that we don't have levels over here, because if we treat this as a previous level, what could also happen here if we go back to the higher highs and higher low? Because if you look at how it's been behaving, you would see that we had that correction, impulse move, then we've got this correction as well, breakout, and then we've got the retest. So it may want to create a low, which is a lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low, lower high, lower low. So we might go as far as going back there and then get another impulse to the downside. So that's also something that you can look out for. But if that doesn't happen, it may also just want to go back there before it can actually sell again to the downside. So that's what I see on EURUSD, either a break below or just a little bit of a correction towards that level to create a lower high if we can actually go to the downside, or we can just go to the upside over there on that gray resistance, and then we can just sell off there. Right, so let's move on now to Euro USD. So Euro USD, guys, is also an interesting one, right? But here as well, I'm not gonna dwell too much on the structure and everything like that. So you can see that we had this ascending channel, which usually serves as a reversal pattern at a key level, not just anyway. So as you can see, we have these two levels that have been previously respected. So if you go now to the 4-hour time frame, right? If Euro NZD, if Euro USD is to sell, or if the dollar is gonna be strong, then this is what I would like to see happening on Euro USD, right? Which is a little bit of a push to the upside towards that level, which will confirm the sells to the downside, right? So that is what I would like to see. And also this would be the overall target, which is the 90% rule. That is basically what I would like to see from Euro USD if the momentum is indeed, or if the sellers are to push the price to the downside. But if that does not happen, then if that doesn't happen, then Euro USD may go to the upside in this fashion. Because if you look at what's going on here, this is some sort of a descending channel, meaning that if Euro USD becomes bullish, then we could see it breaking out, giving us a retest over there, then going back there, and then sell overall to the downside. So that is how I would quickly break down Euro USD for me, which is this could be the buy scenario. But also we need to look at it from this way that it could be a sell. This could be my sell scenario that I see, because if you look at that level, it's been respected by the market, but at some point it does not necessarily have to go to touch that level as well. It may reject somewhere here. That could also happen, guys. So that's what I basically see on Euro USD. So let's move on now to the last one, I think so. So on the last one, guys, we quickly have US30, right? So on US30, you can see that the market has established this low, right? And also that one over the that high over the, all right. Okay, so what's going on here now? So if we go to the 4-hour time frame, you can see that USD has been moving in impulses, correction, impulse, correction. So in the form of a retest, and then it's been moving very choppy here. I'm not sure what's going on here, but I'm just gonna focus on what is it that I see. So I see this previous rejections over there, and then if you can just up this a bit, and then this is what's going on. So I also saw some sort of a descending flag over here, and also the right. So there are two things that I see over here, right? So if US30 is to go to the upside, then I think it would be best if we break out, retest over there, and then we go to the upside. So that could be my buy scenario. But if it still wants to play inside this descending channel, then it will probably go back there, come back here to test it for the third time, and then actually go to the upside. So that is what I am anticipating on US30. And then if you just quickly go to the 1-hour time frame, just to see, because you can see we have at least 4 rejections over there. That's quite a lot. One, two, three. So this was a near miss. So that's the 4th one. All right. So what I think will happen here, if US30 is to sell, guys, again, I think it will push up and then down, right? This is my sell scenario. Also that minor level over there, if you look at it carefully. Or if that does not happen, then it will be best if we go up, get the retest, and then we take our buys to the upside. So that is it from me, guys. I hope you enjoyed and liked this video. So if you did enjoy it and liked it, just give it a thumbs up, and also comment down below if there's anything that you want to say, or what other pairs would you like to see. I will most definitely see you guys on the next video.